This conference will now be recorded.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. September 8th. Move to approve the September 8th. Oh, you weren't here. Okay. For that one. Minutes approved, September 8th meeting. Public comment on non-agenda items. Going once. One, anything from online? Brianna and Stephen. All right. No public comment on non-agenda, moving into unfinished business. Planning board, never going to be on unfinished business. No, currently the county was fairly sure that they had their candidate or their recommendation for my approval, but they wanted to run an ad. It didn't make last week's paper, so they were hoping for this week's paper. Once that's there, then we can set a get together once we know who's all in the club. So that's what I am still waiting on the county.
Craig did not turn in a letter of intent for the planning board. Do we need letters? Now that there's so many people.
On my board, at home, they're all bringing in with Lyndon and where's my other one? With all of them that are in, we will have just enough.
With Craig or without Craig?
With Craig.
Okay, that's what I thought. He's been in since the beginning.
Yeah, he's not getting that.
But now I knew there was more people, so I was wondering if we had to.
No,
Okay.
I think we don't have to. We will have just a full house.
And Craig, don't worry, I'm on that with you, so.
Right.
Don't worry.
Is that normal for the county to advertise that, or do they, does normally just?
Did you?
I don't know what
Did you hear her?
said.
And I'm not sure on that either, it's been so long.
I was like, when is the last time we had one?
But there's no problem with them
Okay.
advertising.
Yeah, they just wanted to make sure that everything was covered, so that nobody felt left out, because they wanted to play, so. All right, so there's that. So annexation by Madison Valley Medical Center. We need to set a date for that public hearing. The staff report is complete.
Set another meeting this month then?
Yes, you feel it. This next month we will have three ordinance to review during the public hearing.
Can we bump anything else up to this or just the annexation?
What reports completed?
If you're talking ordinance,
Staff report.
if I can get to
I think it's
for Friday,
Forrest, if I'm
maybe depending on the day.
Forrest is doing the staff report. So we can. Because our 3 ordinance will be pre-treatment, no parking,
Camping.
camping.
We're still looking at the first week of November.
It'll be the 10th.
For advertising.
Okay.
The earliest is the 3rd.
Annexation only requires one.
Right, but if
So-
you're trying to move something up ordinance.
So we don't have time to move anything else up.
Not to make it this month.
Okay.
So no work session this month?
We would, it would just be the annexation.
That's a
If
pretty
we-
big annexation.
And it's a very large one, so.
Yeah, so we probably could. It'll be quicker, but you're right. It's better to do that than bump it to the other meeting, because then we'll be here forever.
Then it would be midnight, yes. I'm not a big fan of midnight.
Me either.
So next week or the week after.
What works? Yep. so
The
that we
kids
have-
are out of school next week on the 19th,
So, well, yeah. let's
and it's
do-
100 feet on Friday,
So let's
and
do
then the week after.
Thursday is the 26th.
27th?
Bunko's on the 27th.
What?
I'm out of town on the 27th. I'm not going without you, but for future.
Okay. The peanut gallery of old
Fine.
women.
The 20th, shut up.
27th.
6:15.
So you're out of town?
Okay. She is.
What about Wednesday night?
Uh-huh.
We
Wednesday night?
should do Thursdays, or does it matter? That whole week?
I could do Wednesday.
We could do that Wednesday then.
I'd rather everybody be here for that
Mm-hmm.
than miss somebody.
26th?
6:15.
26th, 6:15, I will inform Alan, because I've been in contact with him a couple times.
October 26th.
October 26th at 6:15, here at Town Hall. Same great time, same great channel. All right.
Can I start a podcast over here? No, I'm just kidding.
Let's not. All right. Finally, water preliminary engineering report.
Hi.
Hi, Joel.
Thanks for coming down.
Thanks for switching your days
Yeah.
so I could do
So that
other
we can
important
go
stuff.
to Awesome forums. Look at us having so much fun.
Joe, what's your last name?
Pilcher, P-I-L-C-H-O. I have a total of 10.
So
Like you wonder,
Eric,
sir, through October.
if you have one with Suzie, and then I'll get the other.
Thank you.
commissioners there too.
Perfect.
Thanks, Joel.
You bet.
You did just right. Just right.
So I've got a handout here, just kind of summarizing what we found so far.
Are you working, are you in this sector? Little background on you, because Colette and Dan are.
Yes, I have worked on Ennis's water system since
Okay.
1995.
So you're, okay, I just haven't met you yet, so.
Yeah, I'm kind of stepping in for Colette right now because she's out on maternity leave. So, I'm done to see you guys. So anyway, we've a little time in trying to put something together here to give you guys some guidance. I know that there's some ARPA funding sitting out there that has a deadline for application November 1st. I think the goal was to try to, we need to do something here and get that identified prior to that. So we'll kind of get through all that here as we go through this. But basically the preliminary engineering report, it's a document required by regulatory agencies for compliance issues and also by the funding agencies for grant applications. Basically it defines the problems within the system, describes existing systems, identifies system deficiencies, evaluates alternatives to address those deficiencies, then establishes costs and potential funding scenarios, and then it's a way to facilitate public comment on things that the town might want to do in the water system. One of the first things we always need to do is look at population. and try to project that out through a 20-year planning period. The preliminary engineering reports require a 20-year planning period, so we're looking out to year 2042. We look at Montana Department of Commerce and U.S. Census data. You can see table 1 there, kind of summarized what the population's done over the years, both within the town and within the county. Kind of basically a steady growth. For the purposes of this report, we've assumed a 1% per year annual increase. I don't know, that may not be enough. I really don't have a good feel for.
For city limits, I don't know how much land is left.
Okay.
So I feel like we've got to cap out soon unless more subdivisions and annexations come in, but.
I think some other things within the water system are gonna kind of limit what you can do, and so I think, 1% is kind of a good conservative number anyway. So that looks at a population of 1,100 by the year 2042. And we'll kind of use that through our analysis here for some future water demands. So then with the population established, we look at the historical water demands. It's necessary to calculate future water needs throughout the planning period. The data we had, we used 2021 data, looking at the hour meter data from 2 wells, seemed to be the most consistent and reliable data that we have.
That's what I end up using.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some meter data. We've got 2 meters, 1 on each of the wells. Well number 2, where the old style meter where it's located, and it's not in the right position. You need to have so many feet of straight pipe flow upstream and downstream of the meter for it to be accurate. In this case, it's installed right next to a check valve on the downstream side. And so it's just, I can't have any confidence in what the numbers that come out of that. We've got your service meter data, your monthly meter readings. I think those are probably fairly accurate, although the meters are getting old, and so the older they get, the less reliable they are. But what that does is just water usage at each service connection. We know for years there's been some sort of a leakage component in the water system. We did a test back in 2012 where we shut the well pumps off and measured the drawdown in the tank in the middle of the night for a couple nights. And what that showed is that the system was leaking over 100 gallons a minute. I know there's been considerable efforts trying to identify where that leakage might be in the system. I don't think there's been a lot of success. I think we always find 1 or 2, but
We saved a lot of water per day this summer. We actually gained price.
When you fix those different hydrants?
And the one on Calmly just recently was a big one. That was probably 20, 30 gallons a minute.
so yeah, I think anything you can do to try to limit that. I know the tank is leaking. I actually drove up there this evening and see that there's water coming out of it, so that's not a good thing. And maybe it's time to do another nighttime leak test so we can try to quantify what the leakage is.
I'd love that. They are here to try and fix the bottom leak, but I don't know that they're actually gonna get it done.
So anyway, you can see that we don't have a lot of good data to go with as far as water usage. So that's why I kind of settled on the well hour meter data, and then correlate that with the flow rates from the wells. I think that's as close as we can get to estimating the current water usage. And so what this table 2 does summarizes based on that data, the hours on each well pump, 250 gallons a minute out of well number 3, 350 gallons a minute out of well number 2. And you can see over the course of the year, 111 million gallons works out to an average day of a little over 305,000 gallons per day. Obviously lower in winter months, higher in the summer months due to irrigation. And then we looked at, basically how much per person based on existing population estimates. Kind of the numbers I found was about 935 people for 2021. And so what that works out to is about 326 gallons per person per day.
Is that average for the other places you do this?
You know, I've
Or
seen
is it
all over the
higher
place.
because of the leaks?
It's a little bit higher. I would say 200 is more of a, for a year, over a course of a year.
Yeah, it just seems like, that seems like a lot.
So average day per capita use, 326 gallons per capita per day. We always want to look at the maximum day demand. Basically, what's the one day in the summer where you use the most water? We identified the one day where I think it was 639,000 gallons a day.
Was it the 4th of July?
It was either June or July. I could go back and find the exact date of it. So that works out to about 683 gallons per capita per day. Obviously, that's strictly reliant or based on irrigation. During the warm summer months, if you look at a peaking factor to go from average day to max day, in this case works out to about 2.1. That's pretty common. We see that 2.1 to 2.5 to average day to max day relationship. So then we take those numbers, look at projected water demands, again, through that 20-year planning period. And then I kind of broke it down into some 5-year increments there. But right now, average day demand 305,000. In 20 years, we expect that to be over 358,000. Go from 212 gallons a minute average day flow to 249. And then corresponding with the max day demand, again, we found one day in 2021 that was 639,000 gallons a day. We would expect that over 20 years to increase up to 750,000 or more. You can see the flow rates associated with that. Peak hour demands, so that's really based on peaking factor. That's not really important for the water supply, knowing that you've got storage to help get you through those peak hour times. That just kind of gives you a feel for maybe at any one time during the summer how much water might be coming out of your water tank into the water system. So then we jumped up the water supply. I mentioned before, well number 2 produces approximately 350 gallons a minute. Well number 3, approximately 250 gallons a minute. That'll vary a little bit. When the well first turns on, it's going to pump more water because it doesn't have to lift it as high. And then that'll gradually slow down until it kind of finds its happy medium. Those flow rates are indicative of after the well's been pumping for a little bit of a time period there. Department of Environmental Quality Standards, that's who regulates the water system. They state that the water system must be able to provide the maximum daily demand with the highest capacity well pump out of service. We identified in Table 3 there. The future projected max day demand is 522 gallons a minute. Right now, if well number 2 is out of service, you've only got 250 gallons a minute that can be provided. So basically what that's saying is you're greatly shy by 272 gallons a minute of source capacity to meet the DEQ standards, and then also to take into account the projected growth. Some of the other deficiencies, neither well is equipped with chlorination equipment to allow for disinfection of the distribution system should contamination be suspected. This is kind of something that came up back 5-6 years ago when we did an analysis, and it was in response to an event you had where a telephone utility drilled through your transmission main and basically drained the whole water system. And the only way to then disinfect the water system is to climb up the tank, the water or chlorine at the top of the tank. Not very efficient. And so Kelly and I have talked over the years of maybe at least one well, and maybe even both of them, providing some sort of chlorination feed system that would allow, should you need to in the future, disinfect the water system in a little more efficient manner. Also, the water supply is not equipped with a backup power source. In the event of a power outage, the system would need to rely on the storage volume in the tank to maintain service to users. Prolonged power outage could result in the community being without water. Based on these flows, you can see that tank draining in less than 2 days.
We put that in your budget, didn't we, generator for one? Yeah, we did. Okay.
A lot of these are gonna be repeats. If you were part of that process 5 years ago, some of these things came from that. So they're just, things that.
We haven't fixed in 5 years.
Yet, and we'll just kind of keep them on the forefront here. The new well 3 site, nor the storage tank has any sort of security fencing. The storage tank does have a kind of a livestock fence around it, but that lack of security fencing just makes it difficult to prevent vandalism and ensure safe drinking water for all consumers. That's homeland security has become a big issue, and I think the DQ would like to see all these things have a good security fence around them. So where do we go as far as how to address the water supply deficiencies? Back many years ago, we drilled a well over here at the rodeo grounds. Drilled a well to 220 feet deep. We also drilled a shallower well as an observation well for some testing, just to see if the two water-bearing formations interacted with each other. We recently completed some additional testing out there. Don't have all the summarized results yet from our hydrogeologist, but it kind of gave me a brief overview of what they found. But basically the 12-inch well, and I call that the deep well, 220 feet deep, can produce a sustained flow rate of 150 gallons a minute. The DEQ standards allow you to use 67% or 2/3 of whatever your maximum sustained flow rate is for a 24-hour period. So producing 150 gallons a minute, if we develop that well for use, DEQ would limit that to 100 gallons a minute. The reason they do that is they just don't want you to overpump and use the pull all the water out of the aquifer. And that's been pretty standard for a long time. If that well was put into service, if we completed it, we could probably fall under the redundant well definition by DNRC. And what that is rather than having to go through a full water rights permitting process, when you're basically just adding another well to meet DEQ standards, when you say, okay, we can't meet the standard if we got one well out of service, but by adding this well or some multiple wells, that we can meet that, you're not increasing your flow rate, you're just increasing your, basically your efficiency of your water supply. And so that process is a lot less onerous than a full water rights.
Is it common to use
process.
multiple wells and not have one that produces more?
Ideally, you would add one more that made as much water as you wanted.
Yeah.
Needed, but
So,
that's just not the case out there.
okay,
The water's not there,
okay.
not from a single well. So that water rights permitting may not be needed. That would save a lot of time and money. And that well's already gone through a full DEQ approval process. We got that permitted, the location, the design of all that. So that's already been through all that process with DEQ. The shallow well, 78 feet deep, it can produce about 90 gallons a minute, which if you put that to use, would allow you to use about 60. That was constructed strictly as an observation well for testing purposes. It didn't go through any DEQ approval. Really wasn't ever intended to be used as a water supply well. Probably unlikely to be considered a redundant well, just due to the depth of the water-bearing formation. To fall under that redundant well, you've got to be pulling water from the same source as when you're in the water rights. And so well number 2, most of the water that comes out of that well is from this little bit deeper aquifer. And so the deep well would probably be considered a redundant well. The shallow well wouldn't, because of the water coming from up significantly higher. So if in the event you wanted to look at maybe doing something with that well, you probably have to go through the water rights permitting to do that. That's not saying that at some point we may have to go through that, but I think it would definitely be the case with that well. So with that deep well, we only get 100 gallons a minute out of it. We've already identified we need over 200 to basically to meet all the standards. So probably can't accomplish that with one well. At some point, we'd probably be looking at multiple wells out there. We did enough modeling based on the results of that testing out there suggests that drilling another deep well 100 feet away or so trying to keep them in somewhat close proximity, but not to have them close enough where they interact with each other and cause problems between the two. But a second well would probably produce about 105 gallons a minute, and then the net usable capacity of that would be about 75. So, completing 2 wells out there, we could maybe get 175 gallons a minute out of 2 wells. That's not 270 that we have identified, but it's more than what you have now. Just something to keep in mind there. That one as well, because it's pulling water out of that same aquifer, could be completed as a redundant well, most likely. Wouldn't have to go through full water rights permitting. A new well, that one would need to go through the approval process, just because it would be something new that we haven't run up the flagpole there yet. So, something else to keep in mind is your current water rights limit your total pumping rate from your 2 wells combined at any one time to 550 gallons a minute. So, anything we do, we're going to be limited to 550 gallons a minute without going through additional water rights process. If you go back to that table 3, you can see that the projected max demand is 522 gallons a minute. So at some point here, we're going to be approaching that 550 gallons a minute.
Soon.
Yeah, could be.
So with these annexations that we have coming in and maybe potentially getting water rights, does that help us
That would
for
definitely.
that? Okay. And I'm not sure.
And I think that's, frankly, at some point here, that's probably the only way you're going to be able to do anything to grow outside your current limits is someone's going to have to bring some water and some water rights to the table
So we're stuck kind
to
of.
make that happen. Otherwise, I think you're.
Drilling more wells there, do you think that's the smart idea or are we looking for a new location?
You've already invested money there. It's close to your transmission main. It's close to the rest of your services. We know there's water there. Obviously, it's not as much as we had hoped. You can certainly continue to look at other locations. But how much money do you invest to do that? I mean, it would be a wild goose chase. And unfortunately, in this case, that's a lot of times what they are. You might say, okay, let's drill a well here.
Are you too scared
1,000 gallons.
doing more out there will hit the same aquifer? Which then is a bunk well anyway, because we're in the same spot, right?
Well, there's enough water there, and that's why you don't pump it as much as you can. That helps that problem.
If you're a second well in the same aquifer, can you still pump some?
Yes.
Okay.
And it would be a case where we would probably set it up to the controls wise that one would turn on and then the next time the other one would turn on, and not necessarily that they would ever be running together.
DEQ approvals and water right approvals and stuff, does that take years?
DEQ approval, no, that's a
On a well?
couple month process.
Okay.
Water rights permitting can take a couple years, and
So it's something we should
it
start
can be
working.
$50,000 to $150,000 to get through it. It's not insignificant, yes. Water rights has become a huge issue in Montana, and
It's like $1 million for a well. That is.
so.
You're talking well pump, the whole setup.
Start to finish. Okay.
And we'll get to the cost estimates here shortly here, so. Let's keep going down the list. Water storage, you've got a 530,000 gallon on-grade epoxy coated mold steel tank. It was constructed back in 1995. It's in fair condition. Obviously it's leaking. Looks like it's probably never been recoated. Those are typically redone every 15 years. That's not the lifespan of an epoxy coating system. So it's probably due to be
Now.
recoated if you're gonna keep it going.
I already got the
Working on it.
I already have the, yes.
What is it?
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap. He's like, why do I always feel like I'm
I'm
the
curious what it is.
expensive
I don't know what my estimate is.
Were they outside or the inside?
Both.
Oh, both? Oh. I have to know.
How much?
Right around half a million, I guess.
Okay, that's about 550,000. That's just based
Is there
on some
grants
other
for
ones
that?
we did.
But I'll tell you though, doing the inside of that would really hold back
Nobody did it within the 10 years or anything, so.
This thing, if you're gonna do it right.
Yeah.
Do it once. Why revisit this 5 years?
How much is it to build like a whole new one?
We'll get there.
Oh, yeah,
That's usually how that
Way
goes.
ahead of you.
We do car repairs. It's a lot easier to fix something.
So anyway, water storage is critical for 2 reasons. Provide your operational storage, but then also provide your fire suppression storage. DEQ does have standards for required storage capacity. It states the required minimum allowable storage must be equal to average day demand plus fire flow demand where fire protection is provided. Right now, your average day demand is 305,000 gallons. Basically, for this community, 2,500 gallon minute fire flow is what kind of meets the standards. That's for a 2-hour duration, so that's 300,000 gallons. So total storage required is a little over 600,000 gallons. Going out 20 years, that'll bump up to over 650,000 gallons. But we got 530, so the storage is lacking as well.
Already.
Total storage capacity. Yep.
That's 2 hours, and most commercial buildings take us
Hours.
significantly more than 2 hours.
That was hours.
That was,
Half a day.
Yeah, I mean, you try to find a happy medium. You can't size these for one big fire flow. It's not realistic. So.
At least they go under and not way over.
So yeah, we're looking at, to meet those standards, another 130,000 gallons of storage to meet future demands. The distribution system itself doesn't have a lot of issues. It's well laid out. Most of the lines are 6 inch or larger. Static pressures in the system range between 100 psi in the downtown area and 75 psi kind of in the southwest portion of the system. We've developed a hydraulic model of the distribution system, run it through various flow scenarios, average day demand, peak day, peak hour, and then looked at what kind of fire flows can be provided throughout the distribution system while maintaining the minimum allowable residual pressure of 20 psi. Basically what we found is the distribution system itself, from the size and flow perspective, is in pretty good shape. Basically all the downtown area, we can get that 2,500 gallon minute fire flow. And most of the residential areas, with the exception of a few dead ends, we can get the 1,000 gallons a minute, which is the minimum standard for residential fire flow. So distribution itself, except for a few dead ends, and I think you've got some older cast iron pipe that eventually you're going to want to replace. And we've looked at looping the dead ends. I would say with your other system needs, that's a real low priority. Unless you've got some that are just falling apart, but I'm not.
No. There's no way around it, really, right now. That's way down there.
Yeah.
For my concern.
Way down.
So.
I'm not even thinking about that right now.
Yeah. Gate valves for isolated portions of the system. There's some areas, particularly down first and third, that are kind of lacking some valves. You and I talked. I don't know if that's where you've been adding them, but that's okay.
Yep.
So that's something I think would be a good idea to keep working on.
We got one more to do next summer. Maybe I'd like to have it done, but that would be separate that old part of town in halves.
Okay.
And then from there, we'll move on and on.
So we I think we'd identified 12 in that area that I worked with Kelly over the years. So I've got an estimate in here. It's for 12 new valves. I guess whether they go there or somewhere else, or it just kind of gives you a ballpark of what that would cost.
So that was.
Excuse me. We talked about system leakage a little bit already. 2012, we ran that nighttime tank drawdown test. Both nights, the tank dropped 1.7 feet in 3.5 hours. If you look at the geometry of the tank, that was a little over 22,000 gallons over that time period, and that worked out to a flow rate of, a leakage rate of 107 gallons a minute. There's always a little bit of usage at night. We kind of assumed 90% of that would probably be leakage, so about 96 gallons a minute. Which we project that out, 138,000 gallons a day, 50 million gallons a year. It's not insignificant. Now, you said you think you've dropped that by 70, so basically you potentially cut that in half.
We did, but we caught some big leaks this year.
Well, I think every little bit helps.
We found a abandoned line that was leaking, like, we got after it, we made some progress this year on water.
Let's see, common rule of thumb, up to 15% unaccounted for water is considered acceptable. Based on these numbers, you're at about 45%, so about 3 times what's considered acceptable. So it's not an insignificant volume of water that's.
I would love to see those numbers when these old meters get switched out. I'd love to see that, because they're old.
Yeah.
They're not just old, they're old. When they get old, you give water away. You're giving more water than your meters do. So,
Huh?
Yeah. That's something we've talked about for 5-10 years now, about, maybe start doing a replacement program.
it's gonna,
So I kind of talked about that here. Let me revisit that, so. So with that, I put together cost estimates for all to address those deficiencies that we identified. I kind of threw them together as a priority list. I think 1 and 2 are probably the highest priorities for the water system. After that, you could, move around wherever you saw fit as far as what the priorities might be. But basically, if we want to look at developing water supply at the rodeo grounds, completing the 12-inch well that's there, adding a second 12-inch well, 150 feet away, new well house, all the piping that's involved with that, just under $1 million to do that. Priority 2 is to address storage. I looked at, recoding and rehabbing the existing tank, and then adding a smaller 150,000 gallon tank to make up that gap in the needed water storage. That's about 1.7 million. Nikki, to answer your question about what's it cost just to build one new big tank, about 2.6 million. About $1 million more.
that's less than I thought.
Yeah.
After talking to tank people,
I had a little coronary, but that's fine.
after talking to a few of them, that's.
Make sure that you leave there.
And that, so I will qualify, that is for, that's basically the cheaper tank that you can get that I feel comfortable recommending to you. It's not another bolt. It is steel bolted. They are a new construction method. They're better. It's a glass lined coating, so it doesn't ever have to be recoated, so you're not looking at that, 15
In the
or 20
future.
years down the road. And it's kind of the best bang for your buck. Now, if you're gonna ask me what my recommendation ultimately would be, I'd tell you to put a concrete tank in there. At this size, concrete becomes a little more cost effective. But
Chunk of concrete.
yeah, it is. They're huge. You could probably add another $500,000 if you wanted to go to a concrete tank.
Is that above ground, Joel?
That, it could be either.
I know, it's the second.
Could be completely buried, could be partially buried, could be on grade. It has some flexibility in what you can do with the concrete.
Can I ask a question? Which tank is more disturbance friendly, like earthquake or shifting or?
I would say the concrete tank ultimately is more reliable.
Easier to patch too, probably, if.
There's
It
really
depends.
not a lot of patching involved with it. I mean, they pour all these walls, they set them up, they then wrap it with a wire, they stress that wire, and then they put a shotcrete around the outside of it. It's pretty foolproof.
Indestructible.
But it comes at a price too. So.
But longevity, you're gonna get more out of it that way.
Yeah, there's communities that got concrete tanks that are 100 years old.
And then, you gotta think of.
We would say at least 50. The steel tank would probably last you 50. The only maintenance on the steel tank, the glass line steel tanks, is like your tank that you've got up there 25 years ago, they used to put a gasket between the panels, between those, the bolts. I've always wondered over 25 years what the gaskets are gonna do.
See,
And now what they do is there is no gasket, those seams, the panels lay right on top of each other. They basically caulk the inside and outside those seams. It's almost like a baffle caulk. That has to be replaced, every 15 years, but that's a $50,000 item, not a $500,000 recoat item. But the concrete tanks, almost little to no maintenance on.
So you're saying with the recoat and the rehab, it should be done every 10 years?
I would say no more than 15.
At 500,000? Longevity and prices, this is like stuff
we're
we should
5
think
years
about.
behind on
I wish we had money.
inspection.
Because the smart thing would be just to put the concrete in and be done with it, but I don't think we have that kind of money.
Don't we love our beer, champagne taste beer?
This isn't a Ferrari school. I'm just kidding, I'll shut up. Anyway.
So as we get to where we're kind of developing the
Is the grants and funding for this stuff, like, is it all match?
There's some match, we'll get to that here shortly. But when I finish up this report, I'll have a concrete tank option, the steel tank option, and I mean, all those will be laid out. I just, for what we're doing tonight, I want
Just to
get
know,
some
yeah.
picture, yes. I've got the cost laid out there for the other things we talked about, new valves, chlorination of each well house, security fencing, replacing 20% of the water meters per year, backup generator, and then distribution system improvements. Again, all those, it would be nice to have. I think you can kind of chip away at some of those over time. That's great. But I think, your two highest priorities would be your water supply and your storage.
So nothing in the priority list is like hydrant replacement.
I can certainly add that if there's some that need to be replaced. Yeah. Okay.
We need to have some on the list
I
that's there.
assumed.
We have some non-serviceable.
I'll definitely send you all the info I got.
Okay.
Which ones.
That's,
I'll go through the book and I'll take you the exact number.
okay. No, that's easy enough to do. I'll probably just have that as another line item as new hydrants.
Yeah, that needs to be in here.
Well, and even some of the lesser stuff like the fencing, if that is something DEQ is looking at, that's something, if it's not a high priority, but it's still something we should do for DEQ to, then,
They're never gonna tell you have to do it. It's not a
Okay.
standard.
okay.
They're gonna recommend lots of things, every time they do their central survey, they're gonna say, you should do this, but unless it's a shall or a must, you don't have to.
Okay.
So yes, like fencing's gonna come behind.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was
Hydrant.
like a must and
Yeah.
we're
Hydrants
ignoring it
that
for 5
aren't
years.
Serviceable.
I would agree. So as far as potential funding sources, some of these funding agencies, their funding is tied to what's called the target rate. And it's based on the community's median household income. And what they want is that each community is paying their fair share for water and sewer. And so they base it on the median household income. They do a survey every few years to see what everybody's paying. They've established that 2.3% of the median household income for a combined water and wastewater system is what they want everybody to be paying. With your median household income of $46,280, this is based on last year's data. Kind of the rumblings we're hearing is these numbers are going to go up for,
And we're not even close.
yeah.
I'm getting on my phone right now. I think it was 54 last month is what I paid, and 56 at my business.
Oh, as far as your,
Water for both.
okay, because I kind of go through that analysis here too, so maybe we're way off. Anyway, their target rate is $88.70 a month. What I did to calculate your average residential monthly rate was somehow from the last report, we had some numbers. Ginger, what I really need is a summary of service connections by size, so I can figure out how many equivalent dwelling units are being built.
I think I probably have that one out.
Do you? Okay. And that will help me to kind of fine tune this average monthly rate. But
We,
Still writing this a note, so
When Bobby was here, we went through that. We have that, yeah.
I have that.
Okay.
I have that too. somewhere.
So anyway, at some point, several years ago, we had computed that we had a number for your existing monthly average water rate and wastewater. And then what I did is I looked at back then what your base rate was, what it is now, bumped these numbers up, and that's where I came up with the $84 a month. But that's something we would have to visit.
We kind of
and
know
really pin down.
we kind of know we're undercharging. We've been talking about it for 4 years, 5 years, 10 years. But we do the annual raises, but we haven't done what we need to do to get to the target rate, which we also know is going to screw us on grants. Yeah, we still haven't done. So we do.
So, something to keep in mind, yes, some of these programs, we have to be a target rate to even qualify.
Isn't target rate at completion of project?
Yes.
So we'd have to keep bumping up more.
You know that this
And
is
usually
your
what happens
project,
is-
this is your timeline, and you have to meet target rate by end of completion.
And a lot of times what's happening is that people are doing projects that are big enough, they're borrowing enough money that then bumps their monthly rate up $10 a month, and that usually kind of gets into the target range. But we want to know that and have a pretty good handle on what that is. And with that service line, basically what we're trying to do
And target rate's like winter, not summer. When you're,
year round.
well,
And so
more like winter rate when you're not watering your yard. Should be like 84.
So what we would do is we'll take your services, your sizes, how many there are, and what we're trying to do is figure out how many equivalent 3/4 inch services you have, because that's a residential. So we know you've got, 10 1-inch and 4 2-inch and one, whatever, and that correlates back to, okay, that's a 1-inch is 7 3/4 inch, and then get a total equivalent 3/4 inch service summary, and then we'll take your annual revenues from your water and wastewater, divide it by those number of connections, and that's how we establish what your average monthly rate is.
Okay.
So the Montana Coal Endowment Program through the Montana Department of Commerce, that's a pretty typical, popular program for water and wastewater infrastructure. That funds projects that address public health and safety issues. You must be at 100% of the target rate to be even eligible for their money. If you're at 100% of target rate, you're eligible for up to $500,000. If you're at 125% of target rate or above, you're eligible for up to $625,000. If you're at 150% or above of target rate, you're eligible for up to $750,000. That grant does require a dollar for dollar match. The DNRC, they fund projects that enhance natural resource. The grant amount, maximum grant amount is $125,000. There's no matching, that's not tied to target rate. So it's one of the more user-friendly ones. Applications to both those programs are due in the spring of even numbered years, because they then go to the legislature in the odd number years for approval. And that's kind of a 2-year process. So we just applied for those grants this last spring. They'll go to the legislature next winter, but then those monies won't be available until July of next year. So it's kind of a drawn out process, how all that works. As far as loan programs, the state revolving fund, which is through the DEQ and DNRC, 2.5% interest rate for a 20-year term typically. You can go out to 30 years if the improvements we're making have that, at least that lifespan. They just changed this. You can now get up to 75% of the money you need through them as a loan forgiveness. Basically, it's a grant. They just don't call it that. Once you're done, you've met all their conditions, then they just forgive that amount. That can be up to $750,000. One caveat is, again, the target rate is going to rear its ugly head. You must be a target rate to qualify for loan forgiveness. You can get a loan from them anytime, doesn't matter what your target rate or what your rates are, but if you want the loan forgiveness, you have to be a target rate. Just looking roughly, based on the number of users you have, every $100,000 borrowed through SRF would be about $1 a month increase on the water rate for you guys. There is the rural development through the USDA. It's another loan program. They do have some grant monies. That's something we could really look at if it's, unless you're doing a really large project and need a large grant component, that's probably not the way I would steer you.
Like a concrete tank.
Yeah, or, yes, something, if we're doing a $3 or $4 million project, then we might want to look at it. I think their maximum median household income to where you qualify for grants is 47,000. So you guys are
Not
really
even-
close there. So
yeah.
it may not even be grant eligible from RD, and if that's not the case, then probably no reason to bother.
That means you're probably at the low end of that totem pole for grants anyway, so.
Yep. American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, minimum allocation grants. I understand Madison County has allocated $225,000 of its MAG funding to Ennis for water system improvements. If we look on the list, it looks like the town might have $214,000 of MAG funding still available. Does that sound about right?
Do we get
I
more
don't
than
know if
two,
you've
do we
earmarked
get more
that.
than 250?
250 from where?
I thought we got 250 of the ARPA, and then John took 80. That's why I thought that number was off.
Yeah, Joel, I'd have to look and see what is left.
Okay.
Because they have been using ARPA for some of these, water fixes that Eric's done already.
Okay. So
The.
I'm just pointing that out. The reason I'm pointing it out is the applications to get that funding are due November 1st. So if that's something we want to pursue, we need to get that in real quick.
Yes.
And
I say yes.
We have to go after some of this right now.
But did you say 2 years ago, or last year, we applied for some too?
what's that?
No, this is the county money.
No, but on the, like, 2 lines up, you said that,
No, no.
We'll
Ennis
be out
hasn't
of,
applied for that funding. I'm just saying that other projects that I'm working on,
Oh,
we just
okay.
applied for those grant funds. So if that's
out
something
of
you want to pursue, then we want to be in a position
to be
2
ready
years
for,
from now to be able to apply for that money.
that's why we're getting this one done now, doing what all of our identified list was, so we can hit our target rate, so that in 2024, that's what I was getting from my crash
And the
course
more
in
you
January.
accomplish with your list, the better off you're gonna be.
Oh, for sure.
For funding.
For funding.
So
So,
I apologize
So-
for kind of overwhelming you with all that information, but
that's about exactly
So
where I
we
thought we
always
were
are.
gonna be.
So for grant applications and future funding and everything, because it is a time frame, are we gonna have to put anything on the meeting on October 27th to approve anything or do anything? Or is they gonna be able to go and just start working on grants now?
Even on.
Because that is when we would have to, if we have to approve something, we need to get it done so they
Even
have.
on here, I had review and vote on potential grant applications, so
Oh,
that
sweet.
as the court, see, okay, I plan
That's
ahead
what I was like,
sometimes.
what are we doing with this?
Yeah.
So I think the direction we would need soon is whether you want to pursue the minimum allocation grant funding both through the county and anything you guys might want to throw towards that from your funding. Identify how much that is and what it's going towards so we can put together a scope and budget for those applications and get them in by November 1st.
So do I make a motion to approve Great West to start grant applications or to Eric? Or what?
We have to identify the project.
Specific grants or the
Yes.
project?
I think we need to know what system improvements you want to put that money towards.
I mean, can we really,
They are on call already, Christie. I mean, so Great West is set up to do these things for us, to their on-call contract.
Yeah. I know, but if we have to, like, so I move to approve, get grant funding for the rodeo grounds, well, then do another motion, move to approve to start looking at tank. Can we go that broad? If we have to have specifics.
I think if you guys are set on doing water supply, pursuing the rodeo grounds, getting that going, I think that's all it has to be.
What about recommended water supply improvements? Grant applications for recommended water supply improvements? Does that work? That's broad, but
That's broad, but I think it's,
that way you guys can work on whatever you
Yeah,
guys
I mean,
decide on.
basically, we're gonna write the scope up that it's 2 new water supply.
I just don't wanna run out of time and
Well,
then,
infrastructure.
because the 27th to the 1st is snow days too.
Mhm.
So I'd rather just give them whatever they want.
Eric,
Then
this is your guiding factor.
how would you propose to fund the rest of that project? I mean, is it, would we go after SRF loan funding, or do you have a magic $2 million pot of reserve funds that you put towards this, or?
We have
The only
money,
reason I'm asking is
we have money, but I think we should go for
we'll have to put a
funding.
budget together that reflects how we're paying for this.
Yeah.
Outside of the ARPA funding.
We have, it depends on how much it is. Like outside of the ARPA funding, I don't think there's 24 or 214 in the town.
Basically, we
I would
need
say less.
roughly $500,000.
So
Well,
with
project.
the 225, why can't we just pull it from water and sewer? There's enough money in there, right? 200 grand or no? You don't want to touch that?
I think we're.
Because in my mind, this is a business and we raise the water rates and start making money. like a business. Can we go?
I think we'd have to look at the loan program, because we don't want to drain everything. The water sewer, we cannot drain those funds in case we have.
With the loan
emergencies.
programs, do we just go big right away or do we go small and add as we go? Do you know from past experiences what?
The loan, the money's there. You could ask for 100,000 or you could ask for 10 million. You're gonna get the loan. You just know that you have to raise the rates accordingly to
We want to
pay
do
that back. There's nothing that says you can't say, okay, we got $400,000 of ARPA money and we need 500 and whatever of SRF loan money for this project. And then in 2 years, if you decide, okay, we want to do something with the tank, then we look at a whole other funding package for that project. And you can certainly then go back to SRF. I mean,
Well-
we got communities that have 5 different loans with SRF.
That's what
Doing phases.
So you can keep going. Okay. So that's the thing too, is like, so obviously a well is a big issue right now, but I also think the tank is a huge issue. And I think we're way overdue. So, and I'm more of a doer than a sit around for 10 years. So I think we have to do both. I don't even think there's an option.
I just give you the facts, you tell me what direction to go and we'll make it happen.
And I think we do the both, we do the loan and we get stuff handled. He's been doing, we might as well keep that doing.
Yes. But that's why I wanted to do the loan, so that, in our current water budget, we can handle like a valve or two each year. We can handle 1 or 2 hydrants, just chunk away at those little ones, but use our loan funding for our 2 big ones, correct? And then we go into all of our fun this spring of public hearings for water rates, because those are specific in their timing, so. But we need our clear numbers on our target rates before we enter those. But we have our projects identified, so there is a reason to go to that now. Agreed? All right.
What, as far as the storage, what are we looking at doing?
Oh yeah, because we're under there too, so we need that 150 gallon, at least 150,000
Are we
gallons.
have and build a small tank, or are we looking at building a new tank?
I'm gonna go big, but I don't know.
And then is it steel or is it concrete? I mean, I'm just trying.
I look at this price tag to fix this right now, and I look at the price tag that you have to do it again in 5 or 10 or 15 years. That seems pointless to even do it to me, but that's me.
I can tell you,
I
I just
don't-
went through that exact same analysis with another community. They have 3 tanks.
So growing big, go for the real
I
tank.
agree. I don't see fixing a 25-year-old tank.
That's falling apart, like literally, it's coming
Fix it
outside.
again in 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't see the point.
I don't,
I mean, I get it if you can't afford it, or if we can't.
This is
meet
a
that
better
loan or.
20-year plan than,
fixing it to pay it again, and it's gonna triple in cost.
concur. So
I mean, how long have you been doing this? I bet you that number went up a lot.
I can tell you, in the last 2 years, those numbers have skyrocketed. like.
Is it a bad time to do a tank right now though because of the cost of everything? Yes and no.
Is it gonna go down?
We don't know.
I don't know. I would like to think that prices are gonna come back down, but I also know that we've only just hit the tip of the iceberg of this infrastructure funding and what money's out there and.
What's gonna make shit more expensive?
I think if prices come down, it's 5 or 10 years from now, not 2 years from now.
Well, and you're losing
You
all
can't
the
get
labor.
supplies right now. There's only so many contractors in Montana that can do this work. You know, it
And
used
so
to be,
there's a long
we've been a
waiting
$2 million
list.
project and we'd have 5 or 6 bidders. Right now, we're getting 2 bidders and their bids are 40% higher than our estimate, which was based on a project 2 months ago. I mean, it's that scary. So keep in mind, this, you know, this is a year or two even now before you're gonna build something. So hopefully things have kind of leveled
If
out.
it drops, won't be that high. I move to approve Great West Engineering to start working on grants for the recommended water supply system improvements, including the wells, tank, and storage. That way,
Tank and storage, the same thing.
well, we can,
Are we going glass line steel or do you wanna?
I think you do the numbers for the both. Do a second in it.
I mean, I can,
second.
it's gonna be about $500,000 more, I can tell you that right
I
now.
don't know that we have footprint for.
Tina seconded. Did you get all that? I think I listed.
Well, I don't think you have enough
Water.
up there to do either, so we're probably looking at.
For water
some
system
line acquisition.
improvements,
Great West to start grant process for identified improvements, wells, tank and storage.
Down there.
water system improvements.
That's what the
Including-
tank is up where it is now.
Well,
So that's
tank
why
and storage. I separated because I just want to make sure
concrete
that
is
they
still
know where
wants
they're going.
to Be amazing, but there's the footprint there.
So the tank up in Antelope Meadows is not high enough?
Correct.
That's why that one was abandoned 25 years ago, is because it.
So at that point, do we consider selling that piece
Yeah,
to
so
purchase?
and get the monies for the tank.
If it went 100% of that money to a tank, yeah.
Well, it's your department's money. When that land sells, it would have to go directly into that.
And where the existing tank is where we would have to put a new tank. And do we own
Well,
land or
down
no?
somewhere else.
Well, here's some things to keep in mind. We can't put it on the exact same spot because you're gonna have to keep that one in service
While you build the new one.
You've already got your 14-inch transmission main all the way out there. So
If you can find
I would
something
recommend
similar.
not straying too far from that area just because you've already got the infrastructure out
That's
there.
what I was saying. Do we have land and do we own that land? Or is that
I
golf course?
think did you end up purchasing that little section?
I think we
10
are.
years ago or
Just
something?
like,
I think we are, but it's legitimately a little corner.
There's not enough room with the land you own right there to do it, I think.
So another can of worms.
Could you revamp the Antelope Meadows area? Or that's.
It's not high enough.
And
I mean, I could build you a really, really, really tall tank.
On stilts.
So it would cost a lot of money.
And then we could climb it, spray paint it. That was-
Well, that's the other, I mean, we could do an elevated tank in town. I
No,
don't
it's
think you
so
want
ugly
that,
though.
and I don't think you want to pay for it.
Okay. Well, motion second. Discussion.
And I did tank
Wait.
and storage separate because the more we look at this and the money comes up, we might have to end up fixing that one and finding the storage spot. And that's the only reason I think we need to leave it separate. Is just until you guys know for sure what you want to do.
Or until we find property, but. All right. So since there's a motion in a second, now, public comment. Any public comment from online?
Your mic's not on.
It's glowing.
I don't know, I'm gonna run them all down.
Second call for public comment. Last call for public comment. All right, commission, any other discussion? All right, call on the vote. Nikki.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. And we'll get with you and have some fun.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
You're easier to listen to than Dan.
That's it. He's gonna ground you.
I know, but I've never met Joel. I was like, who are you? But God, it's way easier with Joel than Dan. I would have fallen asleep.
Basically,
Mhm.
with what you have now for water rights, you could support, I think, around 1,100
Additional.
No, total,
population.
which you're saying will be 2042 in city limits.
Tomorrow, I don't know, but
Maybe tomorrow.
So what portion with the hospital?
A lot.
That's different because it's commercial, so it takes a different.
so you guys will give me your service numbers. And you'll tell me how much MEG funding you want to apply for. Of city money.
You're gonna be talking to Eric a lot.
You, me.
Yeah, I'll shoot you some numbers on what we've got, Joel, and.
I know Craig looked it up and that's where he came up with the 214,000. but-
Yeah, and we've got the anticipated 225 from the county.
Cause now I'm gonna wash my hands of this and he's gonna take care of the
Craig?
the grants, so.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you look like a grant writer. Come on.
I've written a lot of them, but he's way better at it, and way more
I
patient
love
than I am.
Craig.
He's done probably 20 of these already this year, so he knows how to get them done.
In a crunch, because there's so much time.
Okay.
Hey, this, I've given him 2 days to do something for it. So
Sweet.
he didn't even know what to do with 20 days.
I wish we could get stuff done in 2 days, but we'll get through it. So, and then we'll have to narrow down our target rate for sure so that we can start on that. Fabulous fun.
Yeah, we're not close.
But at least now you can, when you're in public meetings, you have
The reasons why.
the reasons why. Otherwise, I kind of feel like it would have been a pitchfork and torch kind of scenario, which I love so much. All right. You don't have to hang out with us for the rest of it.
I would prefer not to. so.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Anything
I've
else?
sat through enough city council meetings that I don't need to hear the dog catcher report.
Okay.
We don't have one of those.
All right, we got here.
Thank
I was
you
just
so
gonna say, I
much.
can't believe you're not at the bonfire.
Sorry?
Can't believe we're not at the bonfire.
Well,
Oh, here.
no, he's here. See? All right, next item of business. So that is the addition of a shed at Lions Club Park for softball equipment.
New shed or an addition to the shed?
No, an addition of a new shed.
Okay.
So the
Yeah, it's a
current
new
space, yeah, the current space is not meeting their requirements for equipment. But as per our memorandum of understanding, any additions to the park have to be reviewed by us. So they have filled out their zone site permit for a shed. And that all looked good. The only.
Is it just a prefab shed? Like the other one, just bigger?
But she told me yesterday that they're, $5,000 short from their funding to get it, so.
Yeah, she's been asking people.
There's a list of its contents. That's the only thing that I am unclear as to and need to double check as to. I kind of feel like this would be almost a renter's part. I don't know that the town would be insuring its contents. So I have to
Well, and John went last time because we were responsible for everything in the shed, right? Like, that's why John was going, when we went to get the softball equipment out and stuff, John.
They've never given us a list or anything to know what any of the contents are.
Okay. But last year when softball started, he had to go with us every time we went with the shed in case there was damage.
So, I guess I will ask MMIA, but
They should carry insurance on their stuff.
For the building.
yes. So that would be my only addition to this that I would think is that maybe perhaps they may need renter's insurance
For their stuff.
for the contents.
Yeah, 'cause how do we even go to MMI and say, hey, we need T-balls and tees and.
And we all know that most likely to happen down there is probably flood, and the deductible is $500,000, so.
No. I'm sure they should not have a problem with that.
Okay.
So, move to approve the new shed at Lions Club Park for softball and baseball equipment with them carrying renter's insurance.
Who's they, the club?
Softball, it's baseball and softball organization or something, I don't know, baseball, softball.
Second?
Gina makes the second. Public comment? Second call for public comment. Last call for public comment. Commission, any?
I can reach out to Abby and talk about the insurance.
Okay.
And that ours is $500,000
So probably,
deductible, so you need to carry your own.
Well, that's on flood insurance.
yeah, that's on the flood
That's on
insurance.
flood.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what's the deductible on like the stuff inside? Because technically we don't
That's
have.
where they need to.
Yeah, that's what I'm
identify that
saying.
Themselves and insure it.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. So basically carry their inside insurance and we insure the building.
They insure contents.
All right, any other discussion? All right, technically you were at the vote.
Aye.
Chrissy?
Aye. Aye.
All right, shed on its way. All right, resolution 5812022, resolution of intent to adopt anti-camping ordinance. So we can review that.
Camping's not on next month, so let's see. How
No, this is just the resolution of intent to do that, and then an ordinance goes through two
With it.
public hearings.
And the ordinance is what we were given last time that we tabled.
Yes, because you didn't have sufficient time to review.
Move to approve resolution 581-2022, a resolution of intent to adopt anti-camping ordinance.
Second.
All right. Opening it for discussion.
This and this are different. You want me to? Resolution of intent to adopt Ennis town ordinance regulating camping is what this says, and this says anti-camping ordinance, so.
What I have here is resolution 581-2022, resolution of intent to adopt anti-camping ordinance.
Regulating.
Yeah, this is different.
Regulating?
Yeah,
It should be regulating camping. It'll be better.
Ennis town ordinance regulating camping, do this one,
Thank you.
so it's correct.
Hold on.
That's right.
Good catch. Because it's not really anti, it's just regulating where it can and cannot be. All right, public comment, if there's any.
And Tina wants a second on that?
No, Nikki.
Nikki.
What?
Aye.
She's like, what did I do? Second call for public comment. Any from online? Last call for public comment. Commission.
Are we talking about what we got from James last time?
Before we go into our first public hearing next month, if there's any changes, we'll have to look through them.
I'm just a little confused. If they have to provide a name and a valid ID, what if they don't have one? Then they're refused a permit, and then what happens then?
To the
James.
women's shelter in Bozeman.
Yeah.
Free car ride.
Free car ride? Who gets in that?
I've offered. Because I don't know what else we do.
And,
I'm a one.
right, and so for the vehicles registered license and professional. Easy to think that if they're not, then it just.
The purpose is to be able to control the situation.
It's the people
Right.
that
So by
have
putting in
insurance.
Right.
the stipulations, it's saying that basically they're meeting us halfway.
That makes sense, I get that. Number of people that we need, the max amount of people that we need.
That we have not said. And I think we have to kind of play it by ear. and
Which
see
the
how-
resolution we can change and add stuff in. Not the order.
Right.
So this
This
piece
would
of
be-
paper makes it easy to change or go in and just add a cap or add stuff. In a year, something's not working out, this is easy, the ordinance stays.
Is that it? If they can't provide documentation, they really go to Bozeman?
Well, the Bozeman is the closest warming shelter, so that would be ultimately our best option, is to take up the one. And I know churches and other people that here that ran up to actual, you know, really taking the job. Okay. Because I think the warming shelters and those kind of places don't turn them down fast.
Any other matters on it?
Reading.
Read. All right, seeing nothing else from the council, call on the vote, and it's back to you. All right, motion to adopt resolution 581 carry. All right. What reports? Here, library report.
I didn't report but first of all, baby and family are all well. Yay! Library's doing very well. We are keeping up, short a person. Programming is still going on. We have a full lineup in for this month, October, to close out October. I was kind of crunching some numbers today. We're about 10% busier this month than last year at this time. Yeah, so yeah, things are still hopping. There's still lots of people in town. We had this week 16 new cards.
Wow.
Yeah,
For
families, new families.
Wow.
When we moved to town, yep.
So,
this week?
Yeah, this week.
Wow.
Just since, Tuesday, Wednesday, this week.
Oh, yeah, it's only Wednesday.
Yeah, it's crazy. We just moved here.
Wow.
It's so cute that people are still getting library cards though.
So, yeah, on there also I mentioned the fire panel. I am looking into, so we have a couple options. One option is to get a replacement model. It's the same model for what we have, but the connections are a little better. And then we will be able to hire someone to monitor the system to tell us if it's a trouble alarm or an actual fire alarm, which is kind of nice. A new panel, a new and improved version of this panel is about 8 months out. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and order one up and just move that direction.
to the new one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then
the last part of that is paying for it, and if it all works within the budget, I'd like to move some of that CIP money to the fire panel. Is that
We do a budget amendment.
okay?
yep, so just let us know. when,
Might not
and
even
we
be
will,
within this fiscal.
we'll then resolution for budget.
To erase all messages, press no message.
James. Mute James for a minute. Okay.
I muted it.
Do you guys have any questions for me? Or is there anything on there that I put that you have questions about?
I have a question.
Yes.
So, there was a discussion about the library board and it's the resolution that created the library and the relationship to the town. And this was in the context of the insurance through, the MMIA. And I had asked for the resolution adopting or creating the library district board, whatever it is. Has anybody located that yet?
So what I found is I don't know if we found exactly what you're looking for, but I still am tracking down documents. I have an interlocal agreement with the county that establishes county funds. And that's the closest that I have come so far, but I am still looking for documents. I have it, it's not forgotten.
So you have a document that establishes a relationship with the county?
That is correct.
Oh, that's interesting. Could you provide that to Mayor Nikki Haas? And then,
Yeah, yes, definitely. Like I said, it's not forgotten. I'm still collecting documents.
okay, well, in the meantime, I'd be interested to see that, and you continue looking into it. But if you could get that to the mayor, that would be great.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sam. Matt, you get to be law enforcement representation. So this is your 1 year, right? You're off probation.
Yeah, as of,
God, I thought that already happened.
8 days ago.
As of 8 days. Okay. Yay, you made it.
Can't call you Profi anymore.
Aww. And then John has his regular report that he sent. Do you have any?
Use of power complaint?
Yes.
I didn't mean to.
Is that me again? Me again? I was there when they hauled the fraudulent check guy out. I was like, who gets arrested at the bank?
Any questions, comments for Matt? Thank you. Hi. Thanks for doing what you do. Thank you for going to school and eating the fabulous food that you ate.
Yeah.
It's the academy, it's
Yeah.
the same,
That's jail
it's the
food.
same contract as the jail, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yummy.
wow.
There were days that it wasn't at home and I had to go elsewhere.
So
Sure.
thank
At
you
least
for
had the option to
enduring.
go elsewhere.
So much for vacationing in jail.
Yes.
Short-term rental enforcement? Is that for not complying with? Wow, yay! I'm so excited for some of these.
What was the first one you said?
Abuse of power complaint. I really want to know more, but it's fine. It's not the same day I put my letter in the editor. I already looked that up.
Oh, Christy.
Oh, I know.
Mhm.
There's so many wildlife and. I
Matt,
just
I
need
mean,
your night vision goggles, a lowboy trailer, and crossbows.
We do have thermal, I think.
Yeah, let's go
Mhm.
ham one night and kill them all.
Oh, the deer in town? Please
Yeah,
do.
with night vision. He
Please
has like
do.
2 sets of night vision goggles
I think
and crossbows.
I think we have one.
Oh, I thought there was 2.
No,
and crossbows and a lowboy trailer, just knock them all out.
I have a huge blow dart gun that I've been dying to use because they're mean.
I think we can make a total sport out of it.
Just out of curiosity, remind me to ask John, because I know he has them, and I just don't have
Bye, Craig.
last year's reports, is to kind of, thank you. I haven't forgotten about you. I will not forget about you. Trust me.
And you don't need a letter. Got you out of that.
Just a comparison, especially now, it'll be interesting call volume.
Way more.
Yeah. So just remind me to ask him.
Way more.
He does, but sometimes he'll wait.
I've asked him about how many, I'm pretty sure there's more silver cars to get tickets than any other car.
What's silver?
Well, there's more silver cars.
Yeah, you can't make that comparison.
No, because there's more in production. Fewer people buy red cars,
That's
so
what
you have to do it
the
by
auto body
production.
shop said right now that they're doing more vehicle hits than animal hits, and that's so unheard of this time of year. Like people hitting each other over people hitting deer.
It's because it's nice out. We're still driving around like Mach 90. Anything else for Matt?
No, good job, Matt.
Good job.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you.
Officer Fisher.
Eric.
Chubu.
Did I miss something? Yeah, I do have a question. What's the new vehicle out back?
That was.
So, the Crown Vic's not working.
Are you talking police?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it's a white,
Yeah, Tahoe.
Tahoe.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, the
Oh.
Crown Vic stopped working, and John is in the process, I believe, still of converting the charger. It's very small for both of us, and it does hinder in some of our duties, so I believe we picked up we also need a spare vehicle, let's say we get an accident or something. So we have 2018 Tahoe now.
Oh,
And
it's going.
John had already had that stashed in his budget. He had done capital improvement section, so he was at his cycle close anyway. And so this one came up and go for it.
So it'll be in service soon? It's gonna get some,
We don't have a projected time when it'll be in service yet, because we have parts from the Crown Vic, we have parts from the Charger, that we have to either buy new parts for the Tahoe, because it's a large SUV, or we have to convert parts or something. Yeah, retrofit. So, who knows?
well, at least you'll both fit in it.
Yes.
You want to go for a ride?
Definitely not.
Only if I can ride on the back.
Oh, yeah, I'll do a ride along. Can I do a ride along?
You can do
You
it.
can buy one, yeah.
Yes.
I applied for one, but I couldn't because you were riding along at that time.
Oh, I've always wanted to do
Now I
that.
can.
Have you done it?
No, John, I did it in Vegas one night.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna look into
So
it.
yes, they love ride-alongs. You're like, I haven't got to do it yet.
Since
Maybe
you're off
another-
probation now, you can do them too, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure John will probably forefront that part.
He's like,
You can
I'm gonna put in for ride along only with Officer Fisher. Let me make your day. Okay, you.
all right, Public Works.
I do not have a report, but Kyle and I have done a lot of work on getting ready for winter. Basically is what's going on. During the next week and a half, you'll see us out cammering lines, jetting them, making sure that I don't want to be messing up this winter.
I want to ride along in the plow truck.
You never volunteered to do the clean out.
I mean, I told him I would move poop.
That also is in part of getting ready for winter. So if you want to come help clean the left tank at Lagoon with us, that'd be great with me.
I missed the lagoon tour because I had to open a store. No?
Give me a holler.
Okay.
I missed it too.
I do want to do that.
Yeah, I got it last minute
It
and
was
I
very
was working.
informative.
Yeah.
Very
Give me a holler. Oh. Any questions? You know, I can fill it. I don't have time to get all to
Well, I guess I have a question. I don't know if this is the right time to ask it or not, but you know, where they're building those cabins behind the store and we have all that water issue. Is that something the town's gonna be a part of when they come in and actually build?
I believe maybe you should have a talk with Wally Artisan because nothing he said made sense to me, but I feel like Wally Artisan.
Long Branch.
Long Branch.
They think those cabins are built up so all the water's gonna flood them.
But also what John Way did, he added gravel to the slope to make it go back. I mean,
Okay. Like,
It's all private,
it is all
yeah.
private.
Is the alleyway, but the alley,
This alley to
With the
Silver Dollar is an alley.
I think down the one side is the easement, right? Because
Silver Dollar side.
yes, because Paul has the other side, and I don't know where the easement is where they built up where the water runs off, according to Wally. I don't know, but it's
I
a
feel like
mess.
We should be looking at the guy who built up around the trail.
So that's John Way. So you have talked to him.
They're so low out there, there's sidewalks back there, and there are little slabs outside their back doors are way below ground level.
Yeah.
but there's no way for them to raise that. Is there?
Dig out the road, I suppose.
So, to talk about that, the sewer back there has come under my radar, and that's probably gonna get addressed within a year. That's gotta get pulled and redone.
And it's in that
It's
Silver
2
Dollar,
miles per hour.
it's in the Silver Dollar
So, I mean,
Road? Is that because of the trees?
no, I think it's a great issue. 'Cause we've been really diligent about lights and all that, they're back there this year, it's a great issue. We ran a camera, you know, and there's a missing manhole back there too, like this place needs addressed, and it is,
So there was one on the map that we couldn't find.
we can't find it. I don't know where it is, and the camera can't get to it because the water gets so deep.
Isn't that running from behind the buildings towards First Street?
That's running from, say, that real estate office on First Street down.
Behind those buildings.
But
There's a sewer line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were gonna snake it one day.
what's that?
You were gonna snake it one day. Or
Oh,
something.
And, you know, when you called, that place is such a problem for me that, yeah, I swear on it, I'm missing manhole. I look for it. I don't know how many times.
What if somebody built on top of it?
I wanted that.
They're weird because they were looking for one that hadn't been checked in 10 years and it's in my yard. So that's always fun.
Under the trampoline.
It's under the trampoline. It's all mossy. I was trying to get the moss to cover it so that I don't stub my toe every time I walk through my yard. But yes,
Oh my goodness.
there's manholes in all kinds of fabulous places.
The guy who's doing the building.
I was wondering.
You know, and again, I don't know.
And I don't know if they're even just like neighborly suggestion of a nice French drain so that if it is.
I think he did put French drains in, but I'm not sure because
There's
they
one
they
back
tore
there.
up so
Paul
much.
did.
They had to
There's
backfill
one
so
back
much
there,
concrete,
but built
or
up.
I mean gravel.
Built
They
up
didn't
to where
do
it
just
only-
dirt.
Oh, that's by the Silver Dollar and Fishing store. That one. But what does Paul have behind where all the gravel is on the other side of me?
Does he have?
He's got it. He is a French. No, he put in. I think that's a French drain.
I think it's a sewer pipe for his trailer house.
No, it's a big drain. Anyway, they brought some dirt in. They've been doing quite a bit on those cabins, and it's a mess.
Well, with those cabins, I don't remember the CUP. I wonder if they have to do
I wasn't here.
gravel or asphalt. Susie wasn't either. I wonder if we made them. I know Lisa put stipulations on it for like sidewalk and stuff, but it's gotta be gravel or concrete, right?
There's not much space in between, but I can certainly look.
Will you double check that one?
Or some kind of drainage or something. Maybe we can like reinforce that now and say, hey, you did say you were
I
doing
feel
this.
like if I was fixing that sewer line, it'd be a great time to throw a drain back there.
Why not? Because it does puddle back there.
I kind of think his property line goes right up against that fence on the.
It does, but there's the easement because of the sewer line.
Right.
Because remember when I brought up fire hazard vehicles and being able to get emergency vehicles still, that they couldn't build over that easement. Because I don't think the other alley is a true alley, the Paul side. The other side is an easement, they have to leave that side.
Okay.
Okay.
So on the radar, but yeah, if you can pull it so we can, thank you. So that's on to you then.
Okay.
Yay!
So I didn't do an actual, I have some notes, but I actually didn't do a report for you guys. So I attended the Montana Association of Planners Convention. It was amazing. I learned a lot, met a lot of new contacts, a lot of people just like me that don't have letters behind their name that are this long. There's a lot of towns in our same situation. There was like 3 different tracks that you could go to and pick. And when I wasn't sure, I would ask Forrest which one he thought I would benefit from. And I can honestly say there wasn't any of them that I didn't enjoy. There was one track that was kind of a, they did tours on bikes and stuff, and obviously that's not the track I picked, but it was really good, so thanks for letting me go to that. I've been trying to catch up on finalizing some of the CUPs, the letter that we should be sending out once they're issued a conditional use permit, and the TMDs. I did get the car wash done today, and waiting for Nikki's signatures. I've received 4 new zone site permits this month so far. We did receive the Madison Foods one just yesterday. It's in Forrest's hands right now. He's already made some initial responses back. I'm not sure what his suggestion is. It's 63 pages long. So it's way more than what we need to.
Their proposal is 63 pages long?
What? Yeah. So we need to dwindle that down into something that we can work with. So
Something palatable for my attention span.
yes. I opened it and looked and started scrolling down.
She have water rights? She have water rights?
What? I didn't hear her.
Does she have water rights?
I think so.
I'm gonna need those.
But I've done a couple of estimates. And then after the last council meeting where we had the Davis Merrill, the Dodge City track, and there was a lot of discussion about what we did with the Roylands property. And so I pulled that file just to look at it, to review the minutes, because it was before a lot of our.
It was right before you two, yeah.
And what I did find was that the council did approve their conditional use permit
Years before I was on.
in August 8th of 2019. They approved it with a condition that the zoning board of adjustments, which was the council, review and approve a site plan with landscaping included. So then in June of 10th of 2021, Mr. Roylands was on the agenda for the council to review and approve the site plan and the landscape.
Because I think they stopped build when he did the pads.
Well, he was notified that he needed to, that he hadn't complied with all of his conditions. So they came back in June of 2021 with his landscaping plan and his, for the council to approve. And the council decided it wasn't adequate. Mr. Roylands became very frustrated, and it kind of turned into a little bit of an ugly scene, and he pulled his permit basically. And that's what happened with his property. But we did approve the work live units that he had originally applied for. So I guess that's what I really wanted the council to know, that he didn't do that, the Davis Merrill, because we did approve the other one.
Yeah. He just didn't follow through with the stuff he was
With the
supposed to. And then he was
conditions.
pissed because Lisa had tried to do the gravel or asphalt and all that stuff, and he said no way he was doing all that. Which for that, because they were connected too, you'd have to. Or they weren't connected, they're not connected, but for the threeplex or whatever, he would have had to do.
And just for the record, there was no conditional use permit in the file or any other follow-up. I had to go the minutes to find follow-ups.
We're getting way better. Way much better. Way much better. Slowly but surely.
Well, it is way easier, I think, with even the findings of facts and everything, for somebody to go back and look at it now and be like, oh, this is why, or this is why they
I'm
didn't.
really careful with zoning administrator other than Susie's brought, because I don't want to, they'll have to look back 2 minutes to see who the zoning administrator was. I don't want to write for them out, in case it's wrong.
That is probably smart to do the title instead of, that is smart.
All right.
Change.
Just you have my written and stuff as usual, except just trying to keep our heads above water, being down a person. But Maria Lake is coming in part-time, and I know Susie helped her with utility billing
Several
last
days.
week and some this week, I think, both. So thank you, Susie.
So yeah, she's been doing court and zoning and water billing. So thank you for adding all those.
But yeah, it's just busy.
A wee bit overwhelming right now. What else? Okay. Legal. James, got anything?
Oh, there he is.
Going once.
Going what? James, are you there?
No,
Report.
I'm here. I'm here. Yeah, so I was up in Kalispell. I went to the Montana League Cities seminar up there, which was mostly geared towards public works and the administrators. But I did find that there was a very good course. There was a segment on police use of lethal force, and mostly it was again geared towards administrators, commissioners, mayors, to the extent that what they're encouraging is, there's got to be some sensitivity for the police department, what they do, and there's a realistic movement against all the defund police efforts. So what they had was, it's basically a simulator where it's a projection screen, kind of like a theater, and officers go in there and they get trained on use of deadly force or alternative use of deadly force. But the way this was presented was, it allowed commissioners, mayors, public administrators, people who are responsible for setting the budget for the police, to get into this theater, which is a simulator for being in a actual confrontation with a person who is armed or dangerous, and then you react in real time to the video display, which is projected in almost 360 degrees around the person. Now, I think it's very important to understand the difficult decisions that are made in real time by these officers, putting their life on the line. And so for me, that was a very, very significant presentation. It was courtesy of the, League of Cities and Towns, but presented through the Kalispell Police Force. And one of the officers there who was doing the training was actually from California. He came to Montana because of the politics in California, and he saw what happened. He experienced it firsthand, how, the effort to defund the police just decimated the ability to fight crime. And so you see it. I mean, we're aware of it. But I mean, for Ennis to ever even consider that sort of thing, I mean, as your town attorney, as the prosecutor who prosecutes, we prosecute misdemeanor crimes. Of course, those aren't the only crimes that occur in the town of Ennis. They're just the ones that are within the jurisdiction of our city court. But I know that there was, and I'm sure you're all aware, there was an effort by at least one council member in the last political cycle who was in favor of basically dismantling your local police department. So as your town prosecutor, as your town attorney, I just think, the fact that you've expanded the police force, you brought on Matt Fisher, just completed his probation. I just think it's absolutely essential for the future of the town of Ennis. And I'll tell you, driving up to Kalispell and seeing all the towns on the east side and then on the west side, and it's just a great experience to see what is out there. I'd never made the drive, by the way, so I really appreciate the fact that you supported me and sent me up there. I did have to cut my visit short because I think I got the flu or something of that nature, and so I had to come back home. But I tell you, I mean, my experience, Ennis is just such a unique, special town. It's so incredible. I mean, when you look at it compared to these other towns that I drive through, that they just don't have. They don't have what you guys have. The incredible resources, the views, the downtown, the dedicated business people, and the dedicated people in the town itself. But anyway, that's my report from the legal end. I know you're moving forward with the camping regulations, and I work with Nikki on that. We looked at the Seagate from Washington regulation. We looked at the regulation up in Helena. I try to combine the best of those ordinances and then crafted something that would fit, specifically for the town of Ennis, which, is there's not going to be any camping in Lions Field. I think you made that clear, and that the ordinance makes that very clear as well. And I've also made it very flexible from the standpoint that the ordinance allows for the adoption of administrative regulations consistent with what is prescribed in the ordinance. And among those is a requirement that a person does show an identification of some form. And I think it's important, if people are going to be camping, staying overnight, I think at minimum, you should know who they are. We should have that ability to know who these people are. In the event that there's, some mishap, whether they're causing it or they're a victim. I mean, we should know who's camping on our public lands. But that's, I guess, the recap I have for legal for this month.
Thank you, James.
That just came to my mind. Honestly, at the campground across the bridge, you have to put your name and your license plate and everything to camp there.
Yep.
So, and even on the way to Bozeman and stuff, even Valley Gardens. So it's not any different really. You don't have to prove you have an ID, but if they do come to your campsite and ask, I think you have to prove your ID.
Show, yeah.
So it's not that different.
No, yeah.
I didn't think about that until he was talking about it. I was like, you have to
Not a
involve
big deal,
campgrounds,
really.
yeah.
Yeah.
James,
Yes.
our next giant time crunch pressing issue would be the resolution of intent to annex Madison Valley Medical Center. That resolution needs work. Can you and Susie coordinate? Because we looked at it in September and you had some concerns and we didn't vote or on it, but on the 26th, we're revisiting that annexation.
Yeah, and that's one that's probably slipped through the cracks there for one reason or another. I wanted to see the petition. I don't think I've seen that yet. So, we just need to revise the overall process, I think. But if I could see the petition, that would be helpful.
Okay, Susie's gonna send that to you, and then you probably don't. Well, we'll get you Forrest's staff report with it, just so that you're all prepped on that.
Yeah,
So,
that would be
yes,
great.
we'd love to have you there the 26th. And
Okay.
Susie will. Yeah. All right. Commission reports.
I have a question. How long is the process to get on a target rate for water? Like, what is that? What does that
So
entail?
Montana Code has very specific
It's a lot of work. That's why we haven't done it.
has very specific regulations for public hearings for water rate. And then so first we have to figure out where that has to be, and then you can increment it over the period of the project. So right now, we just said that project is looking at 2 years at a bare minimum to take.
And what we do is like, so once you start having the public hearings and tell people, then we kind of figure out our percentage to get there, how much we'd have to go per month, percentage wise, to get there by the end of it. And that's what you start doing, is just raising it that much
Each
kinda
month.
each month. It's not like an overnight boom.
Yeah.
It just slowly crawls up, where right now I think it's 3% a year or 4% a year. 2% a year is all we do. But we're gonna have to do like 2% or 3% a month.
To get it.
And it's really, the public hearings and everything are hard.
And
The
it'll take a
notice.
while. It's going to take, like, how long to get to the point where you can actually start that increase? Is that?
Well, and I think rural water could come in and help us with that.
Yep. With those public hearings.
Okay, to hopefully make it.
Yeah,
go-
I think they gotta be present for some of it in the beginning, just so we have somebody to back us and a reason why.
And
Right.
and if you look at our contract with Great West for the preliminary engineering report, in part of that contract is public hearings for that report.
They will help as well.
Oh, okay. So, yeah,
When we did that, that was part of that
We
contract.
have talked about it since I've been on here, and they were talking about it before I got on here. But because of the way you have to do everything,
Mhm.
we just haven't pursued it.
But we have to at this point.
Oh,
It's
yeah, for
not-
sure.
Yeah.
We should have 2 years ago.
But we needed this to confirm it. So now that's done. Next step's the target rate.
We could have pursued it, but there wouldn't be the findings of fact and there wouldn't be the backing that we have now.
So yeah, we're in line to do it. And
So-
it was part of my whole 4-year plan, knowing that we're only on the even years could you apply for grants for those ones. So I knew that we had to get this done first, so that in 2024 we were good for
Eligible for everything.
Yep.
For more anyway.
Is that the target rates from base rate only, right?
correct.
Base rate and residential only. I don't think it involves commercial.
No,
It does both.
no.
I mean,
don't
we're
think
gonna have to raise both, but
so. Yeah,
it goes off of commercial too.
Mhm.
Whether it's, yeah.
But most of their stuff
It's
focuses
mostly
on
based-
residential.
We've
most
got different rates according to line size.
sites.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, commercial has the same rate.
But then, like, there's some places where we don't charge the large line rate because it is just a fire line that is not used. So that's kind of a I mean, like the hospital has to have a huge line for their fire suppression system.
Mhm.
We don't charge them that rate of that huge line because they don't use that line for their water distribution. It's their backup. So there's some of that too, and maybe we need to do some adjusting in that.
Perhaps
Do
there's an
we-
annual fee that you could charge for them.
And some of what he was talking
Exactly.
about too is like finding and knowing what pipes go in where and whatever. Do we have that data, or is that something that's gonna cost us money too?
What lines?
What lines go where and what, like all that stuff?
We have a pretty accurate one. There was a
Okay.
couple questions with Bobby from Rural Water that we kind of highlighted that we had to check on line size.
But that won't cost us more money too. I'm
No.
scared that we're gonna get a rabbit hole of everything
No, we've got
costing.
most of them.
That would be a really nice thing. We have to have water line, service line inventories set in the city by 2024.
So this will be part of our purse,
This-
hopefully.
Well, no, this is something we have to do. Well, this is coming out. That's a part of the lead copper reduces. But it would be a great place to start and get that updated.
Yep. And we kind of already have a winter plan for that employee to start evaluating those. So Eric and I were already talking about that last week.
I filled out, set the application.
And you only have one man right now?
For that.
Okay.
So I might be plowing snow.
You may be. I did have a guy call yesterday.
Yay.
That sounded very good.
Oh, no, it just blows me away. I'm surprised.
All right. So Tina, do you have anything else on your commission?
No, that was it.
Well, our library meeting on Friday was good. We did a lot of brainstorming on how to, how maybe we can raise money or keep money allocated for a halftime person because we can't afford to lose Chris. But really good brainstorming and hopefully we can make that stuff work. And like Karen said, Bailey had a baby. And, yeah, just got pictures. I at some point would like to know how short-term rentals are going. Like how many are licensed and.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking of that too.
Get those figures for you.
Okay. That would be nice just to know.
Has it been active? Have people been?
There's a short-term rental enforcement in the police report though.
Yeah.
That's what I,
Did you not see the last ones? Because there was also some last ones too.
Okay.
what's the power? Abuse of
So
power.
that is going to be one of those things that we probably also revisit, seeing as this is the first year that we've taken a stab at that. I'm thinking that there's going to be a resolution for incomplete paperwork to have a fee associated with it because there's been an immense amount of follow-up required by both Brittany and the police department because they are not actually.
Complying,
Yes.
and they're just saying no.
So.
Say no. We have people say no to it.
Roundabout.
I know that there was a lot of people in this room, and I think currently, the last time I checked, there's not more than 10 that are licensed.
Ooh.
So
Ooh, I went on that job.
yeah. There's going to be a revisiting
Enforcement.
of that meeting and who was in the room.
So we look at
and
that in May, so we have enough time by July to have everything in place.
It's already on my my master calendar.
Latest May,
It's on the radar.
yeah.
It's on the radar.
And until then, just keep trying to do enforcement of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Like all these ones going up for $2,000 a month, so May.
So yes, it has honestly been a little bit disappointing that. What? Yes.
They can be cited and have to come to court.
Yeah, did we
Yes.
put fees and fines on that?
Not on incomplete application.
Okay.
So,
But we have some that haven't.
Even applied.
there's a ton of them that have not applied. I mean, we did have a packed room, and like I said, it's pretty much.
Some of it's online, it's compiled. I'm just not. We compiled the ones from the ones that are online.
Brittany's good at looking them all up between VRBO, the different Airbnb, all the different places. Brittany's really good at looking them up. She's
So
she's
when
smart.
she comes back, we were thinking
Right
catching up a little bit on those.
John does have some stuff currently.
Yeah.
Double R,
No, the one, not the L-Western, but the next one.
Riverside.
Yeah, no,
Rainbow.
Rainbow Valley.
yeah, that, there's another website you have to look after that. I'll talk for you when she gets back.
All right. Anything else for you?
I don't think so. Thanks, Karen. I'll
No,
forgive
really
you
good
for
shit.
She's like,
Thanks, Karen.
I don't even know what I did this month. I would
I know,
love to
right?
remember, but this is definitely, I hit my peak and I'm like on the downskirts of the end of the year. But it does look like everything we've started, we've finished thus far. Yay!
Legacy.
So by the end of the year, we will have wrapped up the last loose ends with public hearings with the pre-treatment, the no parking, and regulating camping.
Yeah.
Our other big ones were the water per for the year was the goal. That one got done. The wastewater will not be complete this year. I do not think.
They pushed that off, or we pushed that off.
We pushed that off so that we were good for this. So expect that one for next year. But that puts us still within that cycle. So that's good. So yeah, and then my beautiful sign showed up destroyed, so that was a long wait.
Thanks, Officer Fisher.
Yep, I'm out of here, John.
Thanks.
Goodbye, thanks, Karen.
All right, thank you.
Yelled at you in your ear?
No, on the phone.
Nikki, what sign?
I bet you that never happens.
The sign for the building,
First time, huh?
so that we can post these meetings and everybody can see them, and then if we needed it for water, but yes, it showed up damaged, so it went back, so we gotta try again.
Maybe another 8 months.
It'll be another 8 months.
I get that.
Yeah,
Like,
I get that.
uh-huh.
so I was super excited looking at the year, like everything we started is gonna be wrapped up in a nice little bow, and then that happened, and I was like, something just has to rain on your parade.
Right.
So thanks to John, he filled out the paperwork and the claim and denied it when it showed up. So that was good, but not. Like I said, I've been in contact with Alan at the hospital, just letting him know that we wanted to look at the water report first and have a little more time to review that annexation before we went forward with that hearing. So I'll let him know
Even after
tomorrow.
hearing the water report, I don't know if I'm ready for the annexation.
Yeah, can we discuss that at the next work session too? Because that should probably make sense.
The work session is the annexation.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Are we voting on that night?
that is the plan.
I think you already have the annexation, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
It's been here.
How many,
Well, I know it's here. I got it, but I think you have it also.
Oh, yeah, we have that,
Everybody has the annexation, and
with all the drawings and everything.
I sent out forest report as well. No?
Maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I can resend it.
I'm like, I thought I sent it just as a FYI for this meeting, but maybe not. So I will get that sent tomorrow. Or
Can we have a work session before the annexation? I don't know.
Can we make that?
Because it's
same-
big, and I don't know if we have all of our ducks in a row, and I don't know if I mean, I guess after like the forest staff report, maybe. I don't know.
But can we make them how secure a water, can we make them secure a well?
Or ask for money, or water rights,
Yes,
or,
yes,
or,
you can.
or.
I think that there's a lot of that in sports report.
Okay.
yeah, so read that. I am here next Monday for sure. I went away last Monday. So question, between Susie and I, we'll make sure that you have it.
Okay.
And then, yeah, if you
Yeah,
have
I don't think I
questions,
got it yet.
if you have questions, I thought I did, but maybe not. Maybe I didn't attach it and resend it. You can come in and see me on Monday. And we can go through it. Eric and I looked through it, know what we kind of have to ask and make sure that they have, so we're good there. Yeah. What? For which one? No, I don't think so. I think that since there was one already done, but on Monday I'll double check all that.
Yeah, how fast is that coming down? Massive Foods.
I already told you my report.
They put in their site permit.
Yeah, no, but how fast we don't have to hurry on that.
They have a right to have their application heard. We have a process.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know, but doesn't mean we have to
Is
approve
that
it
gas
right away.
station, what is in it, gas station and
It looks like this grocery store.
She
expansion?
dropped the gas station.
We just seen the
I told
grocery
you,
store.
63 pages long, I scrolled
Expansion?
forward.
Forward. So that
Expansion
is
or new building?
in the
A new building.
Yeah.
And it's a lot bigger. A lot bigger.
So next to, like where the grass and all that is? Oh.
Because she has already annexed and is already part of the water and sewer, can we still ask for water rights
Yes.
on the permit?
Yes, you can.
Yes, they refuse
Okay.
to disclose what.
So yes, we can. Or said that we can.
Yeah, he said you can make it a condition.
Yeah, we can make it one of the conditions of their permit.
That's what I remember Alex talking about that years ago, but.
So yes, we can. All right. So that is. I don't know. So I've been working on the public records request a little bit here, there, and yonder, but I'm behind on that. And then
Is there
Yeah,
tons of that?
you knew it wasn't.
no, but it would be nice
You
to
know.
actually have something when they do show up. So,
Follow through.
yeah. I looked at other ones, then I went to MSU's book to see what is actually required. And I think I'm pretty close to at least something. That's all I did. I don't know what I did. I should write these things down. I usually look through my email and go, yeah, I did that stuff. But didn't. All right.
Unscheduled
Oh,
matters.
when does your thing go into effect? Your policy?
Oh, agenda policy.
Yeah.
It was pretty much immediately.
Okay, good. Okay.
Get your stuff in, and if it's not there, it's not going on. So there's that. So anything that I need to put on the agenda that you think needs for next month, but it's going to be beefy. No.
Bush.
What is BP?
Well, we'll have 3 public hearings. Pre-treat, I hope we're there. No parking and regulating camping will all be next month. That'll be November, second hearing's December, wrapped up in a bow, ready to go in effect in January. It's like it's planned sometimes.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. I don't think any of mine will be ready. I won't be ready.
For November? Okay.
For the work session in November?
Do we have to? We're trying not to.
I know, that's around Thanksgiving, we really should.
That's why we're trying not to have work
But hey,
session in November or December.
That $90 is gonna break me that month.
Just kidding. Gosh.
Like broke me all summer.
So nothing else we can think of, but I think we're there. And then we'll get through that. And then the next big push will be target rates. And then after that, we're going to go into zoning.
We need to though, do we just start at the beginning and do like a page at a time?
So welcome to the next 3 years of doom. That's my plan.
It has to happen though, you guys. I know. Yeah. It's just painful, but it has to happen.
We've drugged through this. We're getting that far. So
Move to approve the claims.
Aye.
Second.
Second.
It's
second,
not even after 9.
I know.
Who was that?
Tina.
Tina.
Tina has the
I
second.
second. I second. I move to
Now.
adjourn.
No, wait,
Oh.
we have to vote. Claims.
Aye.
All right.
Now say we.
Move to adjourn.
Oh, man.
Second.
I really worked hard this
And then
Aye.
Aye.
Corey did text me and say that he told Ginger he was not gonna be here tonight. Earlier this week.
Oh, shit.
At least I'm not the only one that says shit tonight on recording.
Well.
She waited till we were technically adjourned.
He's like, I talked to Ginger and said I wasn't gonna be there. And his little card it off.